Over 1 in 5 people on universal credit rarely or never cover their essentials. If you're on universal credit, you might really be feeling this, just like 42-year-old Damio from Wigan. It's a relentless struggle for survival and a daily battle against the rise of the cost of living. Damio is one of thousands in the UK relying on charity support, and it's really sad that every 13 seconds someone receives an emergency food bank parcel from the Trussell Trust, and he's part of this demographic. If you believe that universal credit is sufficient to live on, let me show you how in reality it really isn't. Damio's life took a drastic turn when his mental health started to deteriorate. He had to give up his job, his source of stability and income, and now he relies heavily on universal credit. He receives just under 369 quid after housing costs, which is barely enough to cover the basics. Let's break down the costs. So he gets 700 quid in total. He's left with 369, which is then divided between food and utility bills. And because of the rise in bills, energy costs are now 39% of his standard allowance. If it wasn't for food banks, he wouldn't have any food to eat. Damio is already behind in his council tax and rent payments, and the cold reality is he's had to sacrifice things that most of us take for granted, like hot water and lighting, feeling the cold just because he can't afford to top up his prepayment meter. This winter he faces the daunting prospect of enduring the harsh winter and potential health risks. When it comes to support, it changes from postcode to postcode, and it really depends on where you live. While Damio spends about 30 quid a month on water, some water companies offer significant discounts to those on low income. His council tax discount doesn't cover the full amount, leaving him with an extra 20 quid to find every month. Budgeting doesn't even help. He's trimmed down his costs and only spends £10 on his mobile phone bill and £25 on broadband. But when the incoming funds are stretched so thin, there's still a shortfall of almost 260 quid, and that's before he's even paid towards his debts. It's really heartbreaking that people in the UK are going through this hardship, and it's no wonder that so many of us have plummeted into debt. The cost of living rises are a cruel reality for many who are just financially treading water. If you're in this situation and you're financially struggling, then it's worth looking into whether you're entitled to any extra benefits. You may be entitled to a cost of living payment, which I'll link to just below this video. If you have 3 or more children, or an illness which requires lots of water, and you're on universal credit, then you may be entitled to the WaterSure scheme, which caps your water bill prices. I've also got a whole video dedicated to extra benefits that you can claim right here, and where I talk about the other much needed help that could be available. So click over there and I'll see you in the next video.